I stopped the last one and started the new one because
That's okay.
that
I
was
just typed in Y witch.
going into a
That
death
told you.
loop, and didn't really want a death loop.
Gotcha. Well, hey, it works now.
So for people who pull it up now
Oh,
getting success.
We got it. We got
Yep.
it.
Pull it up now
Oh,
getting
Yup,
success.
yup.
We got it.
Yep.
We
Pull it
got
up now. Okay, I'm closing that so it doesn't loop forever. But hooray, cool. Yeah, for anyone who's
Confirm
wondering
it's also
for
working for me.
time itself to listen to this in the future, and the time since our last game, my computer ate itself. So we are running the game, which was thankfully stored on a different hard drive that could be, recovered, on a new computer setup, on a new operating system, but with, still Fantasy Grounds, still OBS. Hopefully things will work. Apologies if levels and other stuff are weird. I've had to install everything completely fresh, so bear with us. Um, on the plus side, because it's a fresh install, it's on a better hard drive. Maybe things will be smoother. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Um, but we're here, and we're here later than planned because it was not meant to be a several week gap since our last cliffhanger. Um, but we're here now with appropriate amounts of trauma queued up. So
Yeah.
I will allow the players to roll some d20s and see who gets to recap meeting themselves. Some big numbers already. Wow.
Don't mind me.
All right, I think that means Biden has to recap.
No.
It's amazing.
No.
17, 18, 19, 1.
So,
We had such
Can I
a
get a
great thing
reroll?
going, and then you decided to do that. That was your choice.
Can I
You
get
know
a
what?
reroll?
you know what? I will let you re-roll this one
Josh.
in exchange for not re-rolling another one later.
Oh no. That's way more important later. I'll take the one. I'll take it. Fuck. Why would you say that to me?
Because
This is Penelope.
well, apparently I'm not using anybody's voice right now, but this is Penelope energy.
Yeah, it
true.
is. Fucking chaos incarnate.
She is
Jesus.
stressed and ready to deal with some shit.
Well, I guess I'll give the like, yeah, baby
Just ready to deal
girl.
with some shit. But look at her, she's so cute.
So cute. So cute. So evil. So cute.
So evil. What? No, she is an angel.
She
Jeez.
slapped too many booties to be an angel.
No.
Annis
No.
is
Did you
living
even read
proof.
the Bible? Are you kidding me?
I'm just kidding. All the asses
Be
that have
not
been
afraid.
slapped.
Be
Oh
not
my
afraid.
god. Look, Aiden follows Eldath. He doesn't know much about this other god going on that Charity
Look.
Psalms is very rigid about, okay?
Look, Aiden doesn't know how many butts that Eldeth has slapped.
Every time you take a bath, she could
I
be
was just
dead.
about to say, what every time you're in the water. Every time.
Water's great.
So, do you want to suffer and make a quick recap, or should
I'll
I
make a quick one. I can speed run it. So last time we had the present selves as our trial. Everybody had an altar. Penelope was a good altar. She ended up, sitting down, sitting with Johnny, having a good time, healing her gal. Diana and her altar were throwing big beef, as they do. Annis, her altar is pretty nice and realized her regular self is a big bad bitch who throws really aggressive hands and probably has a lot of self-hatred right now. So, there's that. Derek was a bro, as bros be, and Aiden was a bro, so they kind of tried to keep each other safe, got stuck in a ball. And then there was Freddie. Freddie and his altar, that was a time. Because unfortunately for Freddie, his own weapon does just horrible things to him because he too is a target of that, the keys. And Freddie went down. Freddie also was like, fuck yeah. Aiden was like, fuck me. I gotta heal this bitch. Healed him, got up to Freddie Alter. Freddie Alter was like, well, I'm gonna bounce this place, and bounced down into a gaggle of the team, just, surrounding the leftover of the altars. Realized his grave mistake as Johnny threw some nasty blasts at him. And Freddie Alter and his dying edgelord Breath decided to out himself and was like, yo, this mofo still has feelings for Annis. Peace out, I die. Y'all win. And so now Annis is having an internal crisis about the fact, that Freddie still likes her. And, good times, good times. So we got out of that trial. Then we got to the next floor. Then we got into immediate, because Annis was like, I don't want to talk about things. It just walked directly into the next portal. We were all like, oh shit, we got to follow our girl because, she having a time. And we immediately were met with our future selves. And Penelope's was like, you shouldn't
really
have
good?
freed. I can't.
Are you
I
really
gotta
gonna
do my
tell
Penelope
me
voice. You shouldn't have freed Morgan. I can't Penelope voice.
That's what you said.
Wow.
No, I
you
know.
shouldn't have freed Morgan. And it was like, yeah,
Is that like your Captain Morgan voice?
absolutely. I'm channeling it. I gotta channel it.
Penelope voice.
So she's hit that dilemma because we're currently about to go free Morgan. So it's like, bitch, tell me why. Ain't nothing but a heartache. And so Annis was like, Annis was
Demonetized.
couldn't look at Annis. Future Annis was like, why did you do that to him? And it's like, which him? Which him?
That wasn't even right.
Well, it's like, how could you do that to him? It's like,
No.
why did you do that to him? The question is him, and why, Annis? Why?
Hey,
What
He's
did
not
you
asking questions.
I'm gonna let him get to the end and then put all of the
Sure.
corrections in.
No, I want to go ahead and get into this.
And then Idens was like, we tried to do too much. And I was like, oh. But okay, yeah, fix your. It was literally like, why'd you do this to him, or how could you do this to him?
Oh my god!
Okay,
That's it.
I'm suffering.
Freddie is the one that took out Freddie Alter.
And
One.
Freddie
Yeah.
crashed.
2, it was I shouldn't have woken up Morgan. I shouldn't have done that to
She didn't even say
him.
Morgan. That's the thing.
I shouldn't have woken her up.
Should have
I
woken her up.
shouldn't
We
have
all know
woken
it's Morgan.
him.
We all know it's Morgan.
Aiden said I do too much. Diana said we found a way. That was it. All right.
Yeah.
I'm done now. Those were all the corrections.
I'm suffering right now.
Good times.
Also, I thought I fixed my issue with Fantasy Grounds crashing. It just crashed on me again.
I am sorry.
Oh,
So I don't know.
I don't know why it
Windows
specifically
11.
is this mean to you.
I don't know why specifically me. I think it has to do with our internet connection specifically. Like, I found a thread on the Fantasy Grounds forum that was like, hey, if you have one of these specific carriers, this might be the problem you're having. And then I'm like, okay, great. I will try this thing and then try another thing and then try another thing later. But at this point, who cares?
I'm sorry.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Recap done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you fought your altars. At the end of it, once it was very clear who was winning, your altars healed the party up, sent you on your way. Yeah, Freddy Alter absolutely said some stuff on the way out. Annis critted the hell out of her altar. Notably, Annis reaches for the flaming sword and Annis Alter reaches for the healing staff. So
Yeah.
unpack that how you will. Um, and yeah, so you healed up, you went upstairs, you went into the next challenge, which is presumably the one that was left behind by Vivian. Penelope sees an older version of herself. Anna sees an older version of herself, but Elf doesn't crack, so like not that much older. Aiden sees a version of himself who's missing most of his hair. He looks much older. He's covered in scars, and he has a beard. And Diana sees a version of herself who looks great. She's happy. She looks fine and not a day older. So there's your contrast. So for today's session, we are going to be taking your conversations with your future selves individually. I will make a few notes just on the meta in case anyone's asking. Like, you're not all in the same room. You cannot see or hear each other's conversations. We are operating on the assumption that we, the players, will not metagame based on anything we do or do not learn from this, because if you choose to share that information with each other, you can do so in character, but we're going to operate on the assumption that all of you and all of your NPCs are seeing their own things, and that is something that can be unpacked in an inevitable breakfast episode if you so wish, or whenever it is you want to talk about it, or you keep your secrets and everyone else can know things in the meta, but they don't know in character, and it can just slowly drive you insane.
Nice.
Fun
Yeah.
That's just how it works. But yeah, as a reminder, just contextually, you're going through this. Your servants did not step into the circles; they are outside. And outside of all of this, which is going on in a ruined tower of Camelot, sitting on the back of Albion the Dragon, inside of a hidden bounded field, in the distance, presumably, last you checked, the harvesters are out there somewhere looking for a dragon, the ones that didn't die on the trip up, and the servant of the butcher is out attacking moth people who are distracting it to buy you time. So that's all still happening. You just can't see it because you're in a test right now. Context.
Woo!
Little extra recap just because it's been a while.
Real war technically still hasn't started yet.
Correct. The Guerrilla War has not started yet, although you're running up on the clock of it. There's a good chance that it'll start about the time you wrap this up. Hint, hint, duh. Um, so, yeah, we're going to start out with Penelope, talking to future Penelope.
Oh
Mirai
boy.
no Penelope. Penelope Extra.
Oh
Take your pick.
no. So
Yeah, so you're in a
fancy
room. There
again.
is a table, and there are two chairs. And you are seated in one chair, and opposite you is older Penelope, who looks tired. She looks like she's
But
been
honestly,
through a bit.
mood.
And she's looking across this table at you with a, let's call it a 2020 look on her face of how she's
Ooh.
feeling about life lately.
Oh.
And then she tells you, we never should have woken her up.
What? What?
When are you from?
2005? When are you from?
Also 2005.
What the fuck?
Look, this year was
There is.
hard.
Okay, look. There is no way. Okay. I know this is Vivian's test. You need to explain yourself.
Well, for
Why are you
starters,
doing this?
when I went through Vivian's test, it was different.
What was your test like?
Well, the first one's probably what you remember. Like, had to get in the castle tower thing. We water walked through it, no problem.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. And
Yeah.
then we went up and we met our altars, and Johnny Alter's really cute.
She
He's
really
blue.
is.
Yeah, she was very cute. So we did that, and then we went up and we stepped on the circle after Annis got all flustered, and we met a future version of ourselves. So I guess I'm on the other side of the table now. But my future me seemed to be doing pretty good for herself. And I came out of it feeling like, yeah, this is what we're supposed to do. But I I'm here now, and I have to say things don't go very well after this. Um, okay, I know that this is only gonna give us so much time because future me told me that, and I assume a future me told her that, and there's probably a giant spirograph of continuity to this that I don't understand. But I okay, so we finished the test, we got through it, we were all feeling pretty good about ourselves. And so then we got out and we went up the stairs And when we got up the stairs, there's one more room, and in that room, there's a big, pretty princess bed, like 4 posts, all fancy, and there's a sleeping fairy in it. And Diana and I approached it carefully, and we we each took the water that we used to summon our ladies, and we poured them into basins that seemed to be waiting for us, and we summoned them right here. And when they came through, they completed the ritual and they woke Morgan up, just like they said they would. And when Morgan woke up, she was slow at first. Like, I imagine I would be tired if I was asleep for that long, and we really should have brought her coffee. I think she would have liked that. Um, but regardless, she woke up and she was very nice. She was appreciative of everything that we did. Like, she didn't seem to think that we were gonna do it. Like, she she didn't seem to think that we were actually gonna come through with it, but we did. And so we we woke her up. We gave her a second to collect herself, to stretch, and then we told her what was going on. We told her that we were on Albion and that the butcher was out attacking the people that were guarding her in her sleep, and she said that the best thing that we could do for them would be to ask Albion for one last favor and get him to fly us off of this place and set us down somewhere far away so that they'd have no reason to stay here and keep killing the nice moth people. And so she went to Albion and she asked him, and he said that his duty was done, but she convinced him that it would be worthwhile. And so she did her thing to, like, she promised him that she would do the thing where she could make him a little bit younger. And he didn't want her to do that because he said that he didn't want to forget a moment and seemed to understand how she works. So he got up and he flew us down to one of the big grass areas, like kind of near where we saw the dinosaurs, I guess. But we flew down there, and then like when we flew out of the bounded field, we could see fire in the trees. Um, it it seemed like that servant was making quite a mess out of the mountains. Um, so we flew down, and then Albion shook Camelot off of its back, and we got out safely first, of course. And then once that was done, the ladies opened the lake for him somehow, and he flew into the lake, and I guess he went to the reverse side of the world. So that seemed good. And then Morgan said that she was going to fix this, and so she started doing her ritual thing, and she turned all the ruins of Camelot back into real Camelot, just out in the big field. The the giant walled city came back. All the pieces came back together. It was like watching the damage that had been done to it over time and the war and everything. It just was coming back together. It's crazy to watch. So she put it back together. And then there it was. We just had a Camelot. Pretty cool, right?
Mm.
So she put her Camelot back together and then said that we could use it and its defenses to be safe from the things out there, that Camelot has fairy magical defenses built into it that would be way safer than our base, and that we could go get our friends and we could have everyone moved in, and then the walls would keep us protected while we plan the next course of action. So we decided that that would be a good idea, because it was safe and we didn't really want to risk the base. Like we put so much effort into it, but like we could each just have our own houses and castles and stuff, and there was just room. And so we moved into Camelot, and while that was getting worked out, um, we like we walked back up the water to the the base, and Diana and I found everyone there, and like everyone was there. Everyone that we brought with us was there, and the Lupins had got Nina, and like they rescued her with the help of Hemlock, and th- Nina was not in a good state, but she was alive. Like she was tired. They didn't hurt her, but they didn't exactly give her a healthy lifestyle of exercise and food, so she was not looking great. She was she felt terrible, but we got everyone to Camelot, and when we got there, Morgan saw the state that Nina was in, and so we took some time to talk to her and find out what we could. She didn't really know much. She was kept in the dark through the whole like time period. Like it seemed like they kept her in a bounded field and they kept her blindfolded, and she was kept essentially asleep through all of it, which is probably why we couldn't see her and why we couldn't find her. But once we found out that she didn't know much, Morgan asked her if she wanted to feel this and remember it. And she said that however long it's been was hell and that she didn't want it anymore. So Morgan turned her back to right before the butcher took her away. And then she was fine. It's like she just got those months of her life back. And so we all settled up and things were going okay. But like as became a little bit more clear, this was hard for Morgan. Like rebuilding Camelot and turning back Nina, it took a lot of mana. And away from the mountains with all of the extra mana just collecting on them, she was going through her reserves very quickly. Like it's hard to keep a fairy alive, and she was pushing it too hard when she for someone who had just woken up. But we were safe in Camelot, or at least we thought we were, and we got a chance to breathe. Like the Grail War started properly while we were doing all of this, but no one was messing with us. We had magical walls to protect us. And so we we settled in, got some rest after all of that we'd been through between the moving and the quest and the ordeals and everything. And while we were resting, I I remember Johnny and I were sitting on one of the open ramparts just looking up at the weird colorful sky at night and talking about the future. And as she says this, she's twisting a ring on her hand. And out of nowhere, we saw off in the distance, in what I guess is west, we saw the sky light up. And it was the image of the that archer statue from the Einsburns. And it lit up in the sky, and then it cracked and fell apart. And that's when we realized that one of the servants died, and we don't even know how it happened. And so we ran down to meet up with the others, and like Aiden was freaking out. He'd been with like Nina and his bird mom, and no one knew what was going on. And then we heard the noise. It was the screaming rage noise that we heard when we were up in the mountains. And we looked out from the ramparts of Camelot, and we saw the woman with the flaming hair, and we saw the butcher, and we saw so many harvesters he brought with him. But they weren't like the silly ones that, we pick up and throw around. They were dangerous. They had guns. Like they were here to kill, not to hunt. And I don't really understand it, but when the butcher walked up to the front gate of Camelot, he he lifted his sunglasses and looked straight at the gate, and the big magical wall of Camelot, just a hole burned right out of it. And once the hole was clear, that must have done something to the, the magical protections, because they swarmed in. They charged in, and like we were still learning our way around. Like Aiden had spent the first day after we got in digging through the treasury to find diamonds and diamond dust, which he found. And we'd learned some of the rudimentary defenses, but like we can't defend a castle city with our numbers. So they broke in, and that screaming servant just cut through. Like once it was inside, it was horrifying. It it killed the Goliaths like they were nothing. Like Bike Wielder tried to bring a blade to it, but it just caught it with freakish servant strength. Like the the fiery haired woman screamed at her and then ripped her in half. And they ran through, just attacking people left and right. And eventually we got our group together, and like Belle tried to fight him. Well, Belle tried to fight the butcher and his servant, and for whatever reason, none of her spells were working. It's like something was just preventing her from using Magecraft entirely. And the butcher seemed to be largely ignoring her. Like he was watching her, but she couldn't do anything. And then Morgan came out, and I knew Morgan was tired. I tried to convince her to wait, or at least leave and come back later, but she said she wasn't going to have Camelot fall again, not on her watch. And she walked out to face the butcher and his servant. And she walked out with the rest of us, and we tried to fight them. And like Belle couldn't cast any of her spells, and that servant, like it tore Kwaku to pieces. It just no hesitation. But the scariest thing about it is how fast it was. She would be in a place, and then in the blink of an eye, she'd be across the courtyard with someone's throat in her hands, and she'd just snap their neck and move on. Like, she could have killed us in seconds, but she seemed to be dragging it out, in some cases, literally. Like, she grabbed Keg Tacker, Keg Tapper, and just dragged him along the ground. It was horrifying. It's like they wanted to scare us. They weren't collecting pieces of phantasmals. They were just here to kill us. And while Morgan was facing off against the butcher and trying to disrupt whatever it was he was doing that was keeping Bell out of the fight and letting his servant go through us, it the servant screamed and it killed the the nice bird lady right in front of Iden. And Iden healed her. Like, he found a way to heal her, but as soon as she got up, killed her again. And every time she went down, Iden got her back up. But she was weaker and weaker each time. She never got a chance to heal herself. And when Iden finally ran out of all of the diamonds in the dust that he was carrying, she screamed something. And I think that scream was the cue to the butcher that that was it. And then the butcher attacked Morgan, and Morgan tried to do something, but her magecraft wasn't working on him either. And then he, he just cut her head off. She just died. After all this time, we woke her up and she just died. And he took her head. And he took her head, and he had his servant take. He had his servant take Iden's mom, and he had her take Nina, who wasn't dead but was knocked unconscious in this whole thing. And I I couldn't tell what was happening with everyone else. I remember when the fighting started, Johnny took to the air and was throwing fire left and right at all of the harvesters who were attacking. And she took a lot of them out. She was throwing up walls of fire. You should have seen her. But they shot her. There's normal people with guns just shot her, and she fell to the ground. And like I kept her from dying, but it was all I could do to keep her alive. And with Morgan down and on missing, and with Belle unable to do much of anything, we we had to go. We lost people, but we had to go. And the butcher just let us. It seemed like he got what he wanted when he got Morgan's head, and when he got Iden's family. And we we fell back to the boat that we'd used to bring everyone down, and we fled upriver. And Iden didn't come with us. Like he after seeing his family taken away again, he chased after the butcher, but Iden was really hurt. Like every time he was focusing on getting his mom safe or reviving someone or healing someone, he was still taking hits left and right. And so he didn't come with us. He went off with them, and we wanted to get him, but we had to go, and we couldn't. And I wish we'd gotten him, but we fled upriver on the boat, and there weren't that many of us left. Like Derek wasn't there, Freddie wasn't there. Like they were both just gone. I don't know where they were. Um, and so we're getting away, and Camelot's behind us, and no one's chasing us at this point, and we're all freaking out. And as we get our way up the river, the caster, Belle, was trying her best to help us. It seems like when the butcher wasn't there, she could cast her spells again, but there was only so much she could do. she turned some of us into animals just to stop the bleeding. And while we were traveling upstream, we I didn't get to see it, not well, but Diana did. And what she told me was that while she was piloting the boat upstream and most of us were animals for her own safety, someone we couldn't see attacked Belle, completely invisible, and just in one swoop ran her through with a sword. And Diana couldn't see clearly. She could see better than I could, so she could tell something was there, and she tried to warn her. But whoever or whatever it was just killed Belle out of nowhere. And then we saw, well, Diana saw the same illusion in the sky showing that the caster had been killed. And then all of us turned back into people again instantly. And when that happened, all we could see was the blood-soaked suit of armor, mostly invisible, but outlined in that blood, running off into the forest of Einash. And none of us knew what to do with that. But Belle was dead, and we continued on. We we just kept going up river. There was nothing else we could do. And so we got back to our base, and we double checked our own bounded fields. Like they're no Camelot, but they're ours, and we know how they work. And we took count of what we had left, and we didn't have servants anymore. We didn't know what to do, but we also knew that we had Annis, and Annis still had command seals. So if one of the other masters died, there was a chance that she could still be a master and we could still be in this thing. But we we didn't know what to do. Like we gathered our things, what things we hadn't moved to Camelot yet, or whatever we could, and we went out to the lake in front of our base. And Diana and I, we tried to do the water walking thing that we do, so that we could get everyone to Lucretia. And when we stepped out on the water, we went down. We weren't standing on it anymore, and we couldn't open the path. It just didn't work. We were just standing in water, holding our things, holding our people, and nothing worked. So with that, we fell back inside, and we had a talk about like, do we leave? Do we get out of here? Do we head up? Do we escape? Like, is this just completely done? Like, what do we do? But also, we didn't know where Aiden was. He could still be out there. And if Aiden was out there, we needed to help him. Like, he's, I, I, I give him a lot of shit, but he's not actually dumb. And he was off alone in whatever this was. And like, we licked our wounds to the best of our abilities. Diana and I were having trouble getting our magecraft back, and like Buck made it through all of this, but he couldn't fly anymore. Like we didn't know what that meant. We tried to summon the ladies to talk to them and we couldn't. It just didn't work. And so after a, an incredibly long night with a lot of tears, we decided that the best thing to do would be for Diana and I and Buck and Johnny to try to go find Aiden and try to get a safe passage opportunity to the church where we can hopefully get Lucretia's help to get Annis moved there, because we were afraid that if we went out with Annis and she still had command seals, then that servant would come out of the woods again and just kill us all. And so Annis and the rest of our group, what little of it was left, holed up back at the base, and we set out on our own. And we we didn't want to risk being seen, so we didn't take the boat. We just went out on foot, and we traveled down alongside the river, and we were as quiet as we could. We didn't see any more servants disappear, but as we got downriver, we eventually came to the place where those ruins were floating in the water, and they weren't floating anymore. They were gone. But where there were ruins before, there were boats out there. There were people who'd come out to see what happened to them. And we, we talked to them. Meanwhile, Annis, you're sitting across the desk from yourself.
Oh shit.
So that's all of Penelope, or we're
That's all for right now. We're going to be jumping back and forth.
Oh fuck. Okay.
That's the most notes I have ever taken,
Uh,
and I can't even use them in character. There you go. All
yeah,
right.
it's not just going to be like a solid hour
Just
for each
trauma
of you.
dump.
We're jumping
Now
back and forth.
switch.
Okay.
But I also wanted to give you a chance to think about the questions you might want to ask them before we finish
Yeah.
any of the individual stories.
That
So,
was so much.
Trauma
Ah,
dump.
okay.
Jesus.
But I don't know any of that.
nope, you're sitting across from a slightly older version of yourself.
Okay.
And she's looking down. She's avoiding eye contact. We never should have done that. We never should have. We never should have let that happen to them. Oh God, it's just so much easier when I was on the other side of the table, and nice, happy Annis was just telling me how great things were in the future. She was like, "Oh, it's wonderful. We wake Morgan up, and then Morgan fixes Freddy, and Freddy's back to being Freddy again, and well, you're getting a different story from me than I got from her.
Uh,
Fuck that
uh,
bitch."
okay, wait. Hold on. Stop for a second.
Yes, yes, of course.
Uh,
Yes.
are you an older me, or are you Vivian?
I am the you who has been a little bit further down the road. Because I used to be in your spot, and I remember that. You just walked in the tower, right? You just had that whole Freddy thing, right? Oh my God,
Mm,
right?
right.
Yeah, so you're where I was, and I mostly sat back and listened to how great things were going. And now I'm here to tell you that is bullshit.
Oh,
Things are not
all
great.
right. Go on, I guess.
Well, starters, we go upstairs. After this, we're all confident, and then Diana and Penelope do their weird water tricks thing, and they woke up Morgan. Morgan starts making all of her thanks to us for helping. She convinces the dragon to fly us out of here. She builds a whole Camelot again. That's pretty cool. Um, puts Camelot back together, just right there in the valley. Um, neat. As it turns out, Camelot does not match the descriptions in that naughty book at all. Starting to have questions about the authenticity of that. It's the happiest thing I have to tell you. But yeah, we put it back together, and then like we moved people to Camelot. We moved them all down, and we thought we'd be safe there with the magic walls protecting us, and we got confident. Morgan started following through on her promises. She she turned Freddy human-ish again, as humanish as he's always been. Um, he wasn't half undead anymore, but he lost all that time,
Mm-hmm.
and he was back to the Freddy that I knew. Um, the Freddy that doesn't call, the Freddy who's focused on taking care of his sisters. And I tried to explain to him that his sisters were older now, and they learn to take care of themselves, and that one of them can probably turn into a dinosaur. And that's pretty cool. And he was having trouble believing all of it, but also he was the Freddy that thought we were still together. So the first thing he did was he kissed me right in front of Derek.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh no, he didn't.
he did.
Oh.
He did. He didn't know. He didn't understand
Mm.
yet, but that didn't go well. So yeah, here I am thinking we're just gonna have a big therapy session to maybe work through some of this. Um, maybe get some nice hot tea and sit down next to Calcifer in the shop when this is all over and have a big talk about how life went and how Freddie was no longer part of the church or part of Van-Fem's boat club and whatever else he signed on for. It's just Freddie again. And he didn't get it. And Derek was very forgiving of the circumstances, in total honesty, like he's a trooper. But we're together, and yeah, we got everyone moved down. Aiden's family was back together. The Lupons were back. Hemlock was the hero. Made sure that they got the information that they needed, and we're having a talk. We're having a talk on our first real night there. The Grail War started, but nothing had really happened. Like, we had our barriers up. We thought we were safe in Camelot. Oh, we thought we were so safe. And so, having a chat with Freddie and explaining to Freddie that I was with Derek now and that he didn't call and that I didn't know if he was even alive. And I tried to explain to him what he explained to me about his situation, and he didn't seem to understand why it was such a thing now. Like, he was back to normal, and it was hard. And Derek was again letting me talk. He's so respectful. Oh God, he was so respectful. And while we were talking, we looked up in the sky and we saw the Archer statue from the Einsburn castle appear. And then it shattered, and we knew that something had happened. And at that point, uh, Castor, we're still going by Castor, right? Like, they know she's Castor. I don't know. It doesn't matter. She
I,
she told us
right.
she told us that somehow, in spite of everything, Inan was gone. And she could just tell. She knew what that meant. And Iden freaked out. And then we heard the noise, the screaming, and we looked out over the ramparts and we saw the harvesters and the butcher and their flaming haired bitch. And the butcher did something to just tear a hole, like a big circle, right out of the front gate. And they flooded in with guns, with disgusting human military grade guns. And they attacked us, and the servant just Belle faced off against the butcher, and nothing happened. None of her magecraft worked. I tried to help, and I couldn't. Like something was just preventing us from casting our spells. I I turned into an eagle to try to do what I could as an eagle, but that just meant I had a better viewpoint for when Johnny got shot out of the sky with all of their guns. And then they shot me and I fell and I turned back to normal and I pulled out my fire sword and it didn't matter. And then I saw God, I saw Freddy freeze. He didn't know what to do. Like this Freddy hasn't been in fights. He didn't know. He didn't know what to do. And I tried to keep him safe, but there were people with guns. There were people with giant monster arms. And and Derek was trying to keep Freddy safe. He was. He was he was poofing around in shadows like he does, and he was taking out harvesters left and right. He was grabbing them, he was throwing them off ramparts, he was being a real hero. But Freddy was frozen, and he was yelling at Freddy to run, and Freddy didn't listen, like he just panicked. And and then the the woman with the fire hair stepped in and she went to kill Freddy. And right before she got to him, Derek stepped out of Freddy's shadow and pushed him back. And her hand went right through his chest. And as soon as she did that, Derek told Freddy to get his shit together and make sure I was safe. And then he he died just right there. And then Freddy panicked and tried to run away. He tried to run for the door. He tried to run for us. He tried to get to me, but in the blink of an eye, she was right there, and she ran her other hand through him. And then there she was in front of me, with Derek on one arm and Freddy on the other. She did that horrible blood curdling scream at me, and then she disappeared. She disappeared to go off and do to Iden's family what she had just done to mine.
Do you have any idea who she could possibly be? Did you ever find out anything?
I I don't know. She had fire for hair. She was so fast. She screamed. There's no way in hell that woman was not a berserker. That I know. That she had to be. She was so full of angry. And all I know is that she must have been the one who killed Anon because she couldn't have done this to any of us. And the butcher's people could not have come in and done these things to us if she hadn't faced him down first. But whatever she did, she killed Anon without a noise. There was no scream. We didn't know. We only saw the the stupid statue in the sky. But like appearance wise, she was wearing leathers. There were not like animal pelts, like tanned leathers. If I had to guess, I would say that she's probably from the old Mediterranean. She had leathers, she had like armor, there might have been brass. It was hard to tell as fast as she was. It it reminded me of the statues that you see of like of the Greeks, of the Trojans, of the of Athens, of like the old. If I had to guess a pantheon, I would have to assume that she's from the Greek one. Popular choice, right? Guess let's get a home field advantage here in Europe. But I don't know who she was. I don't know. Um, I did a lot of reading, and nothing is coming to mind. I don't remember anyone, any woman with flaming hair running at high speeds, tearing through people like this, screaming all the time. And after she was done killing Iden's family, the butcher cut Morgan's head off and took her. And he said something to Iden on his way out. And whatever it was, something in the big guy just snapped. And he screamed and he chased after her. But he had nothing left to give. He chased the butcher and his people, who just let us go. They seemed to not care anymore. They got what they wanted. We we dragged Johnny onto the boat. She was bleeding. Oh, like Belle turned all of the injured people that we had left, and there were not a lot of them, into animals just so we'd stop bleeding out. She turned me into an animal. And then the next thing I realized was I wasn't an animal anymore. I was me again. But I saw Belle dying in front of me. And some other servant, we were downriver. We were near the fucking tree of Einosh, the forest of Einosh, the whole thing. But some invisible fucker covered in blood, big, gross sword. He was in armor, like King Arthur style armor. He was not part of this. It was someone else entirely. He just ran off as soon as she was down. And the the last message that she gave me before she died, she sent it to my head. And she said that our servants were gone, but that didn't mean we were out. And that she was just hoping that you had better luck with your next servant, to keep an eye out for any openings because you were going to be an amazing master. And this is all like in a second, but I heard the whole thing in my head. And she told me to tell Diana that it'll it'll work out for her if she keeps on it. And I don't really know what that means, but fucking what do I know about anything that was going on that day? So I I told Diana that later and she cried. But first we continued on the boat back to the base, and then we tried to get all of our stuff together so that we could go back to Residuum and see Lucretia and like get safe spotted and find out what happened to fucking Iden. And it they couldn't do their water stuff anymore. And fucking Buck somehow got through all of this without a fucking scratch, because of course he wouldn't. I don't know if he's lucky or what, but he was beating himself up pretty fucking hard over it. But he got through the whole thing, and he couldn't do that flying shit anymore either. I don't know. Maybe whatever their deal was with the ladies is broken when one of them dies. I don't know. I don't know. But we had a chat with who was left, and it was agreed that it was too dangerous for me to leave the base with command spells on my hand. And so Hemlock and I, we locked the bounded fields. We got things as safe as we could in the base, and then it was just Hemlock and I and Catherine and Lupin, the only ones left in the base, because Diana and Penelope and Johnny and fucking Buck decided to go and find Iden and see if they could get him back safely and try to get Lucretia to do her walking through trees trick to come get us so that we could at least be safe in the church. And so they left to go do their thing, and the those of us who remained, we we was held up and waiting for news. And so a few days went by and no one came back. And then Catherine shouted out at us that her bot saw something outside and that we needed to go. We needed to get out. We needed to just retreat back up to Sherwood. And before we could do anything, the the base, the water, all of it, just plants were growing through the walls. It seems the Einosh's murder forest in a few days covered that entire expanse, and like a beeline at us. From what we could tell, it just in a straight line came right for us and broke in. And while the branches were flying around and there were fucking blights everywhere, they got old Lupin. And as soon as they got old Lupin, Catherine tried to retreat back with me and Hemlock, and we fell back to the portal circle that could take us to that area with all the faces. And we started to complete the sigil on the ground with what diamond dust we had left, the stuff that wasn't lost in the move. And one of the branches just went straight through Catherine while she was completing the circle. And she just died right in front of me, but more dangerously, she dropped the diamond dust and it spilled out and it completed the circle and it sent me up to that fucking tower of faces. But it sent me up without the diamond dust. So I was stuck at the bottom of that fucking tower with no way to activate the sigil at the top of the bottom. It's just me. Just me. No one else. No way up or down. No one to talk to. And I can make food and I can make water, but I can't leave. No plants to try to walk through. I turned into birds. I tried to fly around and see what I could, but I was trapped there. And eventually the headaches that Diana described starting to affect me. Like the weird cotton candy ocean was too close, and even at the top of the tower, it was too long. I don't know how many days went by. I don't know how much time went by. There was no sense of anything, but no one was coming from the top of the bottom. And eventually the headaches got worse and worse, and I blacked out, and then I was right here in front of you. So this is what happens. Had two boys and had a cousin, and I had friends, and I ended up alone at the end of all of it. Stuck in a tower with a bunch of screaming faces. They weren't screaming at first. That might have just been me losing my sanity. I don't know. But people appear, people having nice, happy dreams about how wonderful the world is for them. But you know what? I never saw the face I knew up there. Not again. I started giving them names. I started naming them just to keep my sanity. I don't know how long it was. I don't know how old I am. I don't know what happened there. All I know is that everything went to shit when we woke Morgan up and we made a Camelot, and we thought we were going to be okay. And then fucking Butcher showed up and ruined everything, and then that fucker came out of the woods, I guess, killed my servant, and everyone's just dead or gone or missing. I don't know who any of these servants are. I don't even have useful information to give you so that you get a better loop than I did.
No, you've given me a lot of information. You've given me a lot to think about. Like, Annis is she's been crying, like, nonstop. I'm so sorry that happened to me, but it's over now. I don't know. I don't think he'll go back to the Tower of Faces now. I'm not sure how this works.
I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. Like you're saying, if this is Vivian's test or something, then perhaps that's all I am. And when this is over, I will be blissfully receding into the background of whatever this test does, and maybe I'll go get to hang out with the other altars and we can have tea. I don't know.
I know from what Penelope's told me, Vivian sees a bunch of different futures, and I think this is just only one of them.
I
But
hope that you're right.
you've given me a lot of information. Thank you.
When you get there, wherever you are, whether it's in Camelot or you decide to leave it up there and you just take Morgan back to the base, or you decide fuck Morgan, just forget it. Don't turn Freddy back. Not like that. Not her way. He's grown. He's suffered, but he's grown. And it's too dangerous of a world. Or if you're going to turn him back, do it upstairs in the real world, not down here.
I know, I agree. I think he needs to keep all of his memories. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way to help him, and I'm going to find a way to make sure that none of that happens, and I'm going to find a way to kill the fucking butcher. I'm going to.
I tried to cast spells on him and they didn't work.
I know.
And he's not a servant.
There's got to be something that he's doing.
It's like
There's a way to make this work. There is.
He cut a hole in the wall of Camelot. That's not supposed to be possible.
Right.
But yeah, when you see him, if you find a way to cast spells on him, like don't turn him into a pig or a cow or anything. Like you take him apart.
I'm going to turn him into a corpse.
Turn them into several pieces of corpse, spread them out, burn them, do whatever you have to do. Every single one of the tropes about vampires, like spread them in ashes at crossroads, anything. Just don't let him come back. He's taken too much from too many.
There's got to be something we can do about that servant. We'll find a way.
So fast.
I will find a way.
If you face her at all, do not blink.
Sorry,
Okay, yeah.
you cut out for a second, so I just heard do not blink, but that's it.
Okay, if you face her at all, if you face that servant at all, do not blink. Do not take your eyes off of her. She's far too fast, and she seems to like to play with her food, so to speak. If you can keep focus on her, I don't know if it matters, but at least you'll see it coming.
We obviously can't let Morgan die either. That's definitely not an option.
It's what we got. And also do me a favor. Whenever you get some diamond dust, keep about 2 portals worth of it in your boot. Never let yourself get caught in this situation.
Good advice. Where did No, wait, hang on. That was in Penelope's thing. I don't know that there's diamond dust in the.
Nope.
All right.
And so
Well,
from there, we'll skip over for items, but don't worry, you'll all get chances to ask more questions.
good.
I didn't get to ask any.
That's
Oh no,
true.
that's because you've got more trauma before you get to ask questions.
Yeah.
Because
No.
you're
Sounds like
also
I'm
getting
probably
Diana's half
fine.
of this story, so I thought I would spare you having to ask questions twice.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
going to mute us now.
Okay. Aiden, you were in I guess a stable of some sort. There's no table. There's just a bunch of
Hee
hay, and there's a
Hey.
much older Aiden across from you, covered in scars. He's in a really bad place, and he's got a gross, unkept beard, and most of his
Ugh.
hair's gone,
Hey.
and it's pretty bad.
Ah.
And he's looking over at you. I tried to do too much. I tried to I tried to save everyone and I couldn't save anyone. You're
Talk to me.
in the tower, yes?
Yes.
You're seeing a future you. Um,
Potentially.
I saw a future me when I was in the tower, and the future me told me that things were going to go very well, that the Lupins were going to get Nina back, and when they got Nina, um, we were going to be together safely as a family, and that Nina would be unhurt in the normal sense, but very hurt in a different sense. They kept her locked up. It was bad. She was asleep for most of it, but didn't they did not use her for parts, which I was afraid of. But yeah, the future me told me that we would wake Morgan up, or well, Penelope and Diana would wake Morgan up, and then we would fly down on the dragon so that the nice moth people wouldn't be attacked anymore. And then Morgan built Camelot again, which is
And you
crazy.
didn't stop her?
I didn't know that's what she was doing. It was very fast. I was
You know,
distracted.
I mean, I've brought this up before. I feel like we would have she's been asleep and we didn't catch her.
Yeah, she has been asleep, and
Yeah.
she
All we needed was for her to broadcast everything. That's minimal.
that was the plan. That was
Yeah.
what we were going to try to do. But you were me from before, so you know that people do not actually always listen to us.
Yeah. Yeah, they
And
never do.
we we tried to tell them the plan at that point. We tried to make sure they understood, but the the butcher was outside and they woke Morgan up and then the dragon moved and then she made Camelot and then I think because future me told me that things were going to be okay and that things were going to work out,
You let
I
your guard down.
trusted in it.
Fucker.
So this is future you telling you do not let your guard down.
Never.
Do not ever let your guard down because things
Never.
go very badly. And so at first things seemed good. We had Camelot with big walls to keep us safe, and the Lupins and Hemlock brought us Nina, and Nina was in a bad place, but Morgan asked her if she wanted to remember these experiences, and she said no. So Morgan pushed Nina back to right when she was captured so that she could know what was going on, but not have the trauma of being malnourished and dehydrated and stuck in a state of constant dreams for months. They had her trapped in a dream. I wonder if we would have seen her face if we went back up to that tower, but she was dreaming, and they were not good
But we
dreams.
looked, we didn't see her though.
We didn't see her, but the faces change.
Possibly.
But we had her back, and we had our family there, and we we felt like we were at least that things were going to go good. Future me said things were going to go good, and then we got Nina back, and Mom was safe, and the Lupins were safe, and everyone was in a safe place, and everyone that we had in our base moved down to the safety of Camelot, and we all had space. And oh, there's a I'm telling you this now to save you a lot of time. If you get the chance, uh, there is a there's a jewelry store in Camelot, and it is ruined. But when Morgan put it back together, it was fixed.
We
And
don't want it fixed.
no, but when she fixed it, she made it so that you could go inside, and that meant that you could go into the hidden cellar that I found under the floor, which had diamonds and diamond dust and other things that we need. So I collected that to have it on hand in case we needed it. And then we needed it. We needed so much of it
How
because
much?
I had a by the end of the story, I will have cast more spells than I should, more spells than I thought possible, and I used it all, and it wasn't enough. But I had a bag
How
of
is,
it, a bag of dust and several diamonds, and
how is it not enough?
because they kept killing her, and so while I was having prayer time and communing with Eldath, with Mom and with Nina to thank her for helping us get back together as a family, Enon's voice appeared in my head, and he told me that something was happening, that we needed to get everyone prepared because he saw something coming. And then he told me that he knew who it was. And before he could tell me their name, I felt something gone inside of me. And then I saw an illusion in the sky of a statue that crumbled, and I knew he was gone. But whoever it is, it's the butcher's servant. It's someone that he knew. It is someone that he knew. Use that information.
Yeah, you think I'm not going to go talk to him immediately?
Oh, absolutely. Please do. Please do better than me. Um, but it's someone
I,
that
that
he knew.
explains how your resources are gone, because it was I mean, it could only be the butcher's servant because we had a contract.
Yes. And The butcher's servant somehow got close enough to face in on and then killed him before there was even a fight. And then as soon as that was done, the butcher and his army of harvesters attacked Camelot, and those big magic walls that they were so proud of rebuilding did nothing to stop him from getting in. And
Just open the door? Like,
he 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 pulled down his sunglasses and he looked at the door, and a giant hole just appeared in the door, a big
he just
circle,
like
and they just walked
blast
through.
like light out of his eyes? Like, did they glow? Like, what am I looking at here?
I don't know. I didn't see anything come out of his eyes, but there was just a hole.
Just a hole. Okay.
And then they fired their guns inside and they ran in like bad men. They ran in and they attacked us. And they attacked the Goliaths and they attacked Kwaku and Raps. And I I I was running back and forth trying to keep people alive while we waited for Annis's servant to face that servant. And Annis's servant didn't cast any spells. She couldn't do anything. And it looked like Annis tried to do something and it didn't work. And it looked like Morgan tried to do something and it didn't work. Like none of them were working. None of the things that they could do were working. But
But we could still cast magic.
we could. We could still heal. We
Okay.
could still heal people.
But could we fight? What about our fighting magic?
I every time I turned around, someone dropped to the ground. I never got a chance to fight. I just I was healing people. I healed Mom
You tried.
over and over again. And every single time something brought her down, I got her back up because like I love her, but also I needed her help to heal so that I could join the fight. And every single time she got back up, that fire-haired servant would appear in front of her and kill her again. And I I wanted to go fight back. I wanted to do whatever I could, but I can't let her die. And I think the butcher knew that because I was going through diamonds, diamond dust, everything I had, trying to keep her alive. And as soon as I ran out of healing, the fire woman screamed, and then the butcher killed Morgan. And then he took her head, and then his servant picked up Mom and picked up an unconscious Nina. And then the butcher said to me, using what I only assume is a spell so that I could hear him good and clear, he said, I could use some wings, and the girls got nice skin, you know? And they took them with them. And then all of our friends who were still alive got on the boat and fled. But I wasn't going to do that. Nina was still alive. I had to save her. I had to follow them. I had to get her back. So I chased. But I was hurt. I I had been hurt and I was out of healing. So We are fast, but we are only so fast when we have been shot and stabbed. And I could keep up, but I couldn't catch up. I feel like they were kiting me along like a joke. And eventually, they got to their base and they went inside. And I sat outside, hiding in the trees, and I prayed to Eldath because I knew I was going to need her help for what was going to happen next. I was by myself, but I wasn't going to let him get Nina, and I wasn't going to let him do that to Mom's wings. They are not his wings. And I prayed. I thought back to that map that we looked at about how to get in, and if the Lupins could do it, then I could do it. And I tried to sneak in, and before I even got to the building, I heard a voice behind me, and it was the butchers. And I turned around, full fury, prepared to hit him with Eldath's wrath. And I cast my I cast my spell on him, and it was all I had left was a guiding bolt, but it hit him. It cut through whatever his trick was, and it hit him. And he stood there, glowing in front of me with a smirk on his face. And then he said, "No discipline. You're showing your age. Let me help you with that." And then he lifted his glasses again. And when he did, his face changed. It twisted. His teeth stuck out in a strange way. His eyes no longer lined up with the holes on his head. And and something in him reminded me of those things that we saw when we were first coming to Dream's End. And it chilled me to my bones. And I looked down and I saw the skin on my hands curling back tighter against my skeleton. And I saw my hair falling out and hair coming from my face. And I saw the wounds that I had just had that could have been healed scarring over. He 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 made me old. He took my time. And I had nothing left. I had no mana left. I had no spells left. I was too weak to hold my own bow. And then he said to me, "It was a fun dance, Sonny. Thanks for the invite. I couldn't have done it without you." And then my eyes closed. And then I was here.
I need you to describe the thing. Are we talking about the faces, the statues in the hallway? Or are we talking before that? Are we talking the things that were invisible in the water that were hurting us when we tried to get over here?
It was it was those things. The ones that tried to scare us before, but we were instilled with the bravery of Eldath and we survived them. But he's better at that than they were. And it this is what happens. And he gestures to his face. I can't heal this. I can't fix this. I didn't even get the chance to try. I know we had a plan, and I know It was a good plan, but the version of me that was here before said everything was going to work out, and I trusted him. But I'm
But you
telling
knew
you
this was a
now.
Vivian test. Why would you listen to the Vivian test when you walked into there? Hold on. And again, this is a Vivian test. I just give me a moment.
Sure.
I just want to check something. Because we're both going through a lot right now. And I don't want to be disrespectful to us, but this is also a Vivian test.
Mhm.
And Aiden's going to make motions with his hands, and he's going to cast Sending. And he says, I need your eyes on me. Have you seen this version of me before? Is this timeline true to you? Is it still active? And I can think you know where I'm sending that to.
I would like you to confirm because I have a few ideas and I don't want to give you the wrong one. You can message me, like you don't have to say it out
Yeah.
loud. Oh, I just had this picture of Penelope up the whole time. Well, that's charming. Um, let's get some more people out here.
I figured that's going to either require me to roll for it because we are also, like, we are in a weird, we're in Dream's End, but we're also within a spell.
Yep,
Or if you want to roll it, I don't know what needs to happen.
I will roll it, but one sec. Yep, gotta roll for that. Do, 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 do.
If I have to send it again, I will.
Just checking
that off.
exactly. So I just want you to know the die that I just rolled, because of the way that it works. Do, do, do. 5% chance the message doesn't arrive. I'm going to ask you, do you want that to be on a 1 or do you want that to be on a 20?
I'm scared.
Yeah, you should be.
I would say, oh God, with knowing me and how often I roll ones, it'd be like not the one, but also like, I feel like I should keep it in the order of like 20. It definitely succeeds. 1, it doesn't.
Okay. So that's what you want to do?
You're gonna make me regret this. I know. Yeah, I'll keep it to the order of things.
Okay. The die roll was a 20, so congrats. You chose correctly.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. You get a response. And the response is, do you want me to type it at you or do you want me to say it?
You know what? Fuck it. Say it.
So
Let's go.
yeah, so could you repeat the question now just for the sake of other people
Yes,
hearing it? Because I don't want to confuse people or remembering what you asked differently from I did.
I got
Um,
you. It was, I need your eyes on me. Have you seen this version of me before? Is this timeline true to you? Is it still active?
the response that you get back is, you have taken a bold glance into the kaleidoscope of possibility. What you see is what could happen, but nothing is real until you do it.
Is that the end of the message?
That is the end of the message.
Okay. Then Aiden looks to himself and goes, this might be a timeline you have lived in. I don't know if you're real or not, but it's not true for my timeline. And you know better than anyone else. We're going to keep planning, keep cultivating, and find a way. And we don't give up. And we keep going to our dying breath.
We do not give up. That is
No.
true. And when you leave this place, Be true to yourself, Item Suncatcher. Do not grow comfortable, but also do not underestimate our enemies. I feel they
Absolutely
have been
not.
playing with us and will continue to play
Absolutely.
with us. Let them underestimate you.
Absolutely. They always do, and sometimes I appreciate it. You've given me a lot of information. And you know us, we never take the defense. We always go the offense.
I keep Mom safe. Do not allow her or Nina to put us in a position where we don't have a choice.
I know. We're gonna make sure things are different, okay?
I wish you the best of luck. Do not make my mistakes. May Eldath watch over you.
May all death guide you into the next life. May it be peaceful.
He tilts his head to you.
I'm done here.
Yep,
Quick
we're
and
jumping
easy.
over
Hey,
to
yo,
Diana.
I'm done.
You're jumping to Diana.
We are requesting a 5-minute break before we
You are
jump over.
allowed. Go for it.
Okay. Alrighty. So
Yep.
I'm gonna
I,
mute again.
yep, I will mute everything. And good news, we still have Reen. That survived the computer transfer. Standby Reen
Yay.
is good to go.
All right. Still got a happy ending.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Let's find out what happened.
Let's do
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna leave this picture of like dancing Penelope up here as the contrast to the story that you're hearing.
it.
I mean, you could put Diana's sass up there.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's true. We do have that. Let's see. Why not? For contrast. Uh,
Just not her emissary armor.
there we go.
Look at that hot lady.
Oh,
Yeah.
so fine.
Looking out leggy.
Oh, I want to zoom in.
Are you zooming in on her leggy?
Well, apparently I can't zoom in on anything. Why won't you let me make bigger Diana?
Normally you can zoom in with the scroll wheel, but all it does is move Diana up and down.
She's just wiggling. Okay.
I never noticed.
Oh, if you
That's fair.
yeah, if you make the window big enough, I think it actually goes back to zooming, but I don't know. I don't know fantasy ground shortcuts anymore.
It's okay, I'll just make her large. The entire
Anyway,
screen.
yeah, so now we're gonna see what Diana's story is. Hooray. So Diana, you find yourself in a room with a table, and there's another Diana across the table from you, and she looks pretty happy. And unlike all the other people's, your Diana, your doppelganger, looks the same as you. Nothing horrible happening. Hooray.
Hooray.
Um, that said, she does tell Diana a lot of the same things that Penelope heard because she and Penelope have been in the same place for all of this,
Yeah.
for almost all of it, although she also did get that message from Annis of what was said by Belle, and that was obviously kind of hard on her.
Okay.
So we're going to pick up with where Penelope's story left off, but this is going to be on the Diana side. So yeah, you've
They immediately got kicked out of fantasy grounds.
Oh boy.
I mean, thankfully you shouldn't have to roll anything, so we'll just keep
Yeah,
on
it'll be
going with
fine.
that. It'll be fine. Yes, so we traveled down the river, not on the river, but down the river, along the sides to avoid dealing with more of the forest things. And when we did that, we came across the area that had the weird tower that was floating, pieces of it, but they sank and there were people outside, and the people saw us, and the four of us decided might as well talk to the locals at this point. I don't think they're going to attack us, and we need some information about what's going on. Um, we asked them what happened, and they couldn't answer us. They were they were humans, as far as I could tell, but they couldn't make words with their mouths. They made noises, but they weren't words. And by this point, it was clear that after Morgan died, a lot of our emissary abilities were compromised. But nonetheless, Penelope tried to understand them and couldn't. Like language seemed to be broken as a concept for them. However, when we pointed at where the big tower was before, one of the children from this group uh, drew us a picture on some parchment. And the picture was of a man standing in a giant bucket with wheels on it. I don't know what that means,
Yeah, I don't know either.
but regardless, that's apparently what happened to the tower while all of this was going on. On a more general note, this is about the point where I started to notice something with Johnny she was trying to hide it, but she was getting more argumentative with Buck when we would camp. If Buck said that he was, as he does, saying that he's Penelope's #1 fan or something, she was very aggressive at showing that that was not the case, to the point of manifesting fire between her hands to prove a point. We didn't really notice it until now, but she'd been very high strung since the attack on the castle. And I feel rude for overhearing this, but when Penelope and Johnny were on watch that night, while I was asleep and Buck was in his bottle doing whatever the fuck he does in there, um, I overheard Johnny confess that when Morgan died, Morgan's shadow lashed out and it escaped her body. It escaped Camelot, but on the way out, it passed right through Johnny after she'd fallen out of the sky and was suffering her bullet wounds. And Johnny was concerned that it was that shadow that we were worried about and that it did something to her and changed her. And Penelope reassured her that she was still Johnny and that she would always be Johnny. But again, I wasn't supposed to hear this. It was their private thing, but I'm telling you this now because it's important that you understand where this came from for later in the story. So as we got to morning and we continued traveling toward Residuum, we figured Lucretia would at the very least be able to go and get Annis and perhaps help us find what we can find on Aiden. For obvious reasons, we had to find Aiden. But we continued our trek, and I think it was actually Buck, of all people, who noticed it first. I thought the days were getting shorter for some reason, but it's not that it was getting shorter, it's that the world was getting dimmer. The sky was not as bright from that strange peripheral lighting that seems to go on in this whole place. And it seems like it was getting a little bit dimmer every day. Like the equivalent of the sun would come up and go down, but the equivalent of the stars were dimmer, the equivalent of the sun was dimmer. Like the whole world seemed to just be getting a little bit dimmer with each passing day. And a few days into the trip, because it's so much slower without a speedboat, we noticed that while our mono was coming back, it was much slower than usual, and we couldn't contact the ladies, and we couldn't walk on water or travel through water, and eventually Buck couldn't even go in his bottle anymore, and he had to walk around like us plebs, I suppose. But yeah, you won't believe the amount of bitching that boy does when he actually has to walk for a living. You'd
Oh
never
no,
know
I
that he
don't
did
know.
it most of his life. So we eventually made it to Residuum, where we found Lucretia still present, and she was surprised that we were alive. She said that she saw that Camelot, which she identified from a distance, which is impressive in her own right, I suppose, had come back and subsequently fallen, given all the fire, and the loss of 2 servants made her think that we were dead. Um, I assume that whatever her connection to Penelope is did not work over such a distance, and while I know that Penelope does like to make judicious use of the sending spell, I got the impression that she was having trouble with it under current circumstances. I did not pry, but regardless, Lucretia was also concerned about our health because it seems in the time since we left on our trip, the forest of Einosh rapidly encroached on the base and overtook it. So we then attempted to get us sending to Annis to see if she'd made it out okay, and we could not reach her. Now, sendings work across planes, so it should have been possible, but it seems something was preventing it. And this just frustrated Penelope further. But regardless, we informed Lucretia that we would like to assist in the official duties that she has as the overseer of the war to allow safe haven to masters without servants, and that we would appreciate her assistance in helping us find Aiden and getting him back safely as he did not have a servant anymore. And she gave us what direction she could through her roundabout way of communication, I guess within the limits of what she is and is not allowed to do in her role. She notified us of where the butcher presumably is, on the assumption that that is where Aiden went. And after resting up to the best of our ability, we set out in that direction. And we entered the forest outside of the butcher's base of operations. And you're not going to believe this shit. We found someone in the forest planting seeds.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Said you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, you're right.
It was the little fungus shit. He was planting seeds in the forest.
I knew we couldn't trust that little piece of shit.
And upon seeing him, Johnny lost her shit.
Oh.
And Johnny attacked him, and he apparently, it's a bit tougher than I remember because he brought with him a number of blights, which, whatever, but he also brought some much bigger, much more powerful trees and elementals and fungus creatures. And while Johnny has quite a bit of fire, I would argue she probably was even stronger than she was before. She only has so much mana, and he pretty quickly overwhelmed the 4 of us. And rather than, you know, killing us, he simply had his trees hold us still. And then I know you're shocked, but he started monologuing, is what Penelope called it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
She got him to start talking, which she also got him to do, which he didn't seem to realize, was she convinced him to agree to the ridiculous terms that we would tell him what we knew about the Grail War if he would let us go. And he sarcastically agreed to it while standing in proximity of Penelope's sword.
Oh, that tricky little.
Hmm So
Mm-hmm.
he did not appreciate that. Um, because, as it turns out, he does have an interest in what's going on with the Masters in this war. Once we were good and bound, it became clear that that armored servant who killed Castor was invisible and present through the entire exchange.
Oh.
Now, the little dolt said he's not a master and wouldn't even begin with that, but that he's under supervision while he's doing his work, and that the servant would nonetheless like to know. Now, we couldn't see the servant. I couldn't see the servant.
Oh.
I could tell that he was there, but I could not make out his features. I don't know how he does that. Shouldn't be able to do that. I
No.
like to think that we're both very good at spotting things like this,
We're
but
incredible.
some separate level of obfuscation was occurring that seemed to be getting in the way. So, regardless, right there in the face of this other servant who presumably would have stepped in if we weren't overwhelmed by the other problems, or perhaps it was just there in case the butcher notices someone setting up in his backyard. We told them what we knew, which wasn't much. We told them that the caster and the archer servant are dead, that we did not know the identity of the servant standing before us, and that the screaming fire-haired bitch was in fact a screaming fire-haired bitch, which wasn't very useful information to him, but it fulfilled our end of the deal. And so he agreed to let us go. And as soon as we were let free from the disgusting fungus that was holding us to the trees, uh, he said something to the effect of, guess I got the one up on you on that one, which apparently Johnny had one spell left in her, and it was a big one. And she cast that fire spell that she uses, the one that she uses when she's very pissed off, and burnt him to a crisp right there in front of the servant and everyone else.
Oh.
And that was when we realized that the whole time we had been talking to him about these servants, we had been inhaling the spores of the mushrooms that were holding us in place.
Oh no.
And let me just say, it worked out really nicely for us. Now we're cutting back over to Penelope, who's getting the same story from Penelope's point of view.
Oh God.
And that was when I looked over and I saw Diana's face was getting spotty, and she was giving out those spore things through her pores.
Oh no.
And I think Clover spread Einosh into Diana.
Oh no.
And as soon as Johnny killed Clover, the Einosh took over Diana, and the servant that had been watching all of this play out just killed Buck and Johnny right there.
No.
And then I looked back to Diana for any kind of help at all. Maybe she had some way of getting them back. And Diana was just looking at her own hands. And then she said in a voice that that this would work, that she found a way and that it would work. And then she swung her sword and I was right here in front of you. And now we're back to Diana talking to herself.
No.
And as I was standing there with everyone else gone, it made sense. Like this worked for Freddie. I it in this state, I can do it. I can be I can process the mana now. I can go to the reverse side of the world and I can spread the seeds and the children can grow there in the most fertile soil. And I can be with my Nimue because I can handle it now. And I can raise so many trees in the Garden of Avalon with Nimue for the rest of time. I'm a dead apostle now. I don't have to worry about getting old. She can focus on me now. She has to. And now I'll let you
Diana.
decide which side of this you want to talk to.
Okay, so. Oh fuck.
Whew.
Okay. So Diana is gonna look at herself, or her future self, quote unquote. She's gonna place both hands on the table, stand up, and be like, "You're a disgusting little bitch.
I beg
You
your pardon.
know that is not what I want.
It's not what you want right now, but when you're me, you'll love it.
I don't want to be a nasty, disgusting little dead apostle. I will find a way to make this work for Nimue. And that is not the answer.
I'm open for other ideas, but in the meantime, I've got an eternity to make it work, and
And you know what,
Nimue
though?
has an eternity, and she will eventually come around.
That's not how. That, no. You're disgusting. And I am
You're
not going to
simply
allow
not
that.
open-minded. You'll get
It's,
there. It'll happen to you.
no, no. That is not the kind of future I want. And that is. Diana's going to pull out her sword.
Okay.
And she's going to point it at the Diana across the table. She's like, "You're not me. I know
Not
this.
yet.
No, you're not me because you're right now you're Einosh.
It's
And I'm
a
not
bit of a
letting
timeshare.
look, no. That is not the answer. And deep down you know it.
Deep down, I know that the woman I
And
love is going to forget me the moment I die. And now I don't have to worry about that.
Diana's gonna walk across the table. She's gonna walk around the table and just pick up other Diana by the collar of her dress and bring her closer to her face and be like, "You don't get to tell me how I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure out a way that doesn't involve hurting everything I know and hurting everything I love. And I love Nimue, and I would not hurt her like that."
She's just smiling at you. She's like, not yet, you won't. You'll come around.
"You're a fucking bitch." And she just stabs her through the gut.
Okay, let's jump over to Penelope's side then.
Okay.
Different direction.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to remember what Penelope.
Last
Oh
name
yeah,
was...
Diana swung her sword and okay.
Mhm.
Penelope is also gonna get up and walk around the table. And she's gonna hold her hands out to her other self. She's like, "Come here."
Okay.
She holds her hands. And then she just pulls her into a big hug and she's like, "I'm so sorry that you went through all that."
I thought it was gonna work. I thought it was gonna be good. That's what other me said.
And that's okay. But it's gonna be okay. I don't know how we're going to do this. But I know that if we don't wake up Morgan, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah,
Because
I know.
we have to wake her up.
I feel like if we didn't wake her up, then we would have stayed safe. But I don't know. Morgan being awake meant that her shadow could get to Johnny.
She's gonna take her hands and put them around other Penelope's, basically put them on her face, like one on each cheek. Just be like, "What happened to your version of Johnny should not have happened. And I'm sorry for it. It probably woke up her origin and just," she's just gonna like go back into hugging her again. She's like, "Just trust me. I'm going to make this work.
You-
Like what you've told me, I'm going to keep that in mind. But I also know," and she's at this point she's gonna pull back and like put her hands on other Penelope's shoulders. "If there's anything I have learned over the summer, it's that Vivian doesn't like to tell you any of the futures that she, because they turn into prophecies. And prophecies have the tendency to go wrong.
Yeah,
And you telling me the way that things could go wrong is a sign that we can make it right."
I hope so. I I want you to keep your Johnny safe.
"Oh God, you know I will."
I, it's it's hard watching everything fall apart so fast.
"Yeah,
You can't let up.
but if we don't do this, then who else will, you know?"
Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm the one saying that.
It was hard. It was so hard. keep
know.
going as we just have fewer and fewer people.
And she's just gonna just sigh and be like, look, I know it's hard. It's hard. It's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be easy. I think we knew that you and I both know this when we signed up for it. It's not gonna be easy, and we're gonna have to be uncomfortable with things. And I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that what happened to you doesn't actually happen.
Please.
Don't worry, I promise. We're gonna make it through to the end. We're gonna make it through to the end. We're not gonna let any of the mistakes of the past catch up to us. We're not gonna let any stupid shit in the present happen. Because we need a future. We've come so far, and I just have to make this work.
I hope you do. I hope you have a better path than we did, and I hope that you can learn from our scars.
Trust me, I will.
Okay. In that case, you get back out there. The next floor. It's a short trip. Morgan's up there. She's got a really comfy bed. Maybe convince her to not use up all of her mana on a flashy show. Like
Yeah,
she
no, that's
she wasn't gonna tell us, but I could just tell that she was not getting it back as she used it, and she she just overextended. She put a giant target on herself, and then everything went to shit. And I think that if you wake her up, just try to make sure she understands her limits.
Penelope's just gonna hug her really tight and be like, "Don't worry. I will make sure that she knows her limits, and I will make sure." I mean, we've told Vivian this, and we've told Nimue this, and we've told Morgan this. We have to. We'll be that bridge that connects everything, and we'll keep everything safe and running smoothly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I know that technically this is Vivian's test, so you do me a favor. You tell her that I understand what she's worried about, and that I understand where her concerns are, and that she does not have to worry about them with.
Okay.
Okay?
I don't really know how this works, but I assume one way or another I'll be back with her eventually, right?
Yeah, I don't
Well,
understand how it works, but I don't understand how a lot of things work, and that's okay.
yeah, as long as it works.
Yeah, it's like they said, it just makes more mystery.
Yeah, there is that. Well, I guess I'll let you get back. If it's anything like what my friends went through, every single one of you just had your own little meeting with a future you, and if they met the same future that I did, some of them are going to need hugs.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna need the group hug after this. Even if they don't want a group hug, they're getting a fucking group hug.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
And
you
then we're gonna like our version of Johnny and I are gonna make out. a lot.
It's for the best.
Oh yeah.
She needs it.
Yeah. She needs it. I need it.
Don't let her fool you. You can still tell when she's blushing.
Oh no, I know. She just gets that little like tinge on the little apples of her cheeks and on the end of her nose, and it's really cute.
Yeah.
She's
She hugs you one last
mm,
time, and as she does so, the world around you goes white. And then you all find yourself standing in that circle again. And
Yay.
everyone has varying degrees of looks on their faces.
a quick question.
Yeah.
Was that the end of Diana's?
Yeah. Diana's ended when she stabbed her other one. So,
Okay. Well, I
yeah.
just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry, I was
No,
giving
no.
the look. And
No,
I
that's
just
fair.
needed to make sure.
Nope, that one's
All
over.
right.
You're all standing around, and I will let you describe the looks on your faces as you see fit, but I will say that most of your NPCs do not look like they had a good time either.
So Annis is definitely crying. She immediately grabs Derek and Freddie and just hugs them both and is just crying.
They're
She doesn't
hugging her
say
back.
anything. She just grabs them both.
Yeah.
She's like, Penelope's like, okay, I'm pretty sure you all just went through the same thing I did, sort of basically. We all need a fucking group hug right now, and none of you are objecting to this. I don't care what you say. And she's just gonna start like going around and like pulling people into a group hug.
Ida just kind of
We all need to
gets
sit down and
closer.
talk before we go up the stairs.
Yeah. Look,
Yeah, he nods. He's like, "You read my mind. We absolutely need to sit down."
yeah. Yeah. And Diana is just like sitting there looking just utterly disappointed and just disgusted. And she's just like, do you ever get built up to believe in something good is going to happen and then it just gets yanked right out from in front of you? Just like that. And she's just gonna like lean on Annis and just start crying. She's like, I can't.
I assume they're all just a
Yeah.
cluster
Yeah.
of hugs with
I
Annis and the boys in the center because they hug
Yeah.
first.
Yep. Like,
Aiden
giant
is
hug.
honestly very like he's not crying. He's just very quiet watching everyone and just kind of putting his arms out and hugging everyone. And then in his mind to Inan, you know who they are, and I need you to start thinking fast. That red hair. Go through your memories, please.
I'll sit down and compare notes. I feel like there's a path forward and we can make a plan, but we need to know. Oh, I genuinely hope that some of you had better outcomes than my future self did.
Not really. But it's like I told her. Vivian doesn't like to show, possibilities because they turn into prophecies and prophecies never turn out well.
It's not.
And
No, I'm not
that
letting this be a prophecy.
I know that's why I'm saying that is I'm taking this as
Take it as notes. It's a kaleidoscope. It's not
we're
written yet.
it's not we're not letting this happen. We're going to learn from those mistakes, even though they weren't our mistakes technically, because that may not have also ever happened. But
I
better not fucking happen.
I think we should take notes from that.
agree. I also
And
think a lot of it was an illusion of things that we wouldn't genuinely do. So take that with a grain of salt as you will.
yeah.
So, okay. So rather than recount what we were just told, Why don't we just... Are we going to like share everything that our future self told our present self, or are we going to keep anything?
I
Um,
think the only thing that Aiden would keep is that Enon personally, like, there's like they know them somehow. Only
Mhm.
just because they want Enon to think about it in the moment to get that sorted before we start going crazy, and it gives away clues as well. As the like, it's like once he can get information out of Enon, he's gonna immediately drop it and be like, okay, we were able to get it figured out. But he's got to actually think first.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
like, there's no point in riling that up if we don't have an answer for it yet.
like Ennis would share the little bits of hints that the other Ennis gave her about that it's probably a Greek servant. Um,
Yeah, because he
that
doesn't
was
know
really
Annis's
amazing.
servant, so he can't go off of that. He's like, all I know is that
Yeah, and that the butcher servant was able to kill Enon without making any noise. That's the
yeah,
big
and
one.
that's something that's something Ida would absolutely share is like, the presence was gone, no noise, just
Mhm.
dead.
actually, once Anna shares what she knows, can Penelope make like a I guess it would be a history check since she did spend time in Greece with Vivi.
You know what her history is? I can just roll it to d20. I know it's for Annis,
I
but
don't remember.
okay.
You want me to have Penelope roll a history check?
Oh,
I can
or
just
you can
do
do
it.
Yeah,
that as the DM. That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure. One sec.
I'm trying to think of
Iden
the
would
stuff that
share that.
Annis the stuff Annis found out that no one else would have, like the Forest of Einosh,
Oh
like
yeah,
really
like
being real fast and hyper targeting her specifically.
Iden would share about the butcher where it seems like he definitely absorbed one of those ghosties from the library.
Hmm.
Um,
Either
so
that.
he
This is out of character. It's either that or you got that power from Morgan's head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either or. Because remember, the
Mhm.
ghosts originally could have aged us, like,
Yeah, I think
hardcore.
they did age Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he
Mhm.
specifically said it was the things from
Yeah.
yeah, so Iden
Yep.
brings that up, it's like, okay, clearly he took a jab at these. Um, he's gotta
Mhm.
figure out what's
So
going on.
what was the roll?
So,
Well,
your first roll, you got a 1. So, being you, I rolled it again for you. And
Yay.
the second time around, you got a 10. So,
Okay.
like 10 total, like with your bonus.
Yeah.
The rolls are just not kind. But like history-wise, it's nothing is immediately coming to mind that would match from Greek mythology for a woman with flaming hair.
mhm.
Mhm.
No. Would
Um,
either of our emissaries share the fact Clover got out?
Yes. Yes.
so
Yeah.
here's
So that bitch Clover
What?
got out. I
How?
don't know how,
here's my
but I
thing,
want
though.
to fucking crush that statue to tiny little pieces.
Are you sure
Yes.
that it's hear me out for a
Yes,
second,
it was Clover.
and not Einosh, who's apparently already? Because how much did Diana share about her situation? Because clearly, like, I'm waiting for all of y'all to figure out
Oh
what
yeah, no,
we
no.
have on the table.
She told them everything
Mhm.
because
Okay,
she's
so
very
Aiden's
upset.
gonna
Mhm.
But she's like, yeah, no, that it was definitely like that.
no, I'm talking about
I
her
lost the
situation.
Clover thing.
Said he was there under supervision. Hmm.
I
I'm
don't.
And that
I'm not
Silva said
asking
he
about
was
the
working.
Clover part. I'm asking about did she share her situation on how
Yes,
she actually is able
yes,
to. Okay.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That
so
is what I'm sharing.
okay,
She's sharing everything because she's
okay,
got nothing to hold back.
Yeah.
okay. Aiden's gonna bring up because Diana even said it about herself. That wasn't her. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It was Einosh. And we already knew Clover was infected. Aiden wants to make sure before somebody gets fucking murked that it wasn't just Einosh.
I mean, The last we saw him, he was a fucking statue buried
And
in
I can ask
and how the
Alder.
fuck did he get out? Who got him out?
I can ask Alder to take a look in there. I will send a sending to check in.
And Annis will just silently reach over and take Diana's hand and squeeze it and be like,
And he'll even look at her and be like, "That wasn't you."
"It wasn't you."
And he makes that very clear.
I know that wasn't me.
I know.
That's. I mean, it was me, but it wasn't me.
We'll make sure that.
Einosh knows people are vulnerable, and he uses that against them. He alters them.
I want nothing more. I know that's not the way to make.
No.
I know that's not the way.
It's not.
I wouldn't do that to her.
I know you wouldn't.
I would not do that to her.
Diana, look at me here. And he's like holding her face.
She saved my life. I could never do something like that to her.
You would never. You remember, this is not a future that happens.
I know.
I was, look, I don't know if this is the time or not. I don't know.
It's like
there's a way. There was a way that I looked into that is possible for you. So don't think there isn't. Don't fret. That wasn't you. It'll never be you. And you'll get to see her. Okay?
All right. So that was obviously a lot, but we have to be smarter.
We have to make sure she doesn't try to.
First thing is first. I do still think we need to wake Morgan up.
Oh God, yeah,
sure
absolutely.
She doesn't make the whole castle.
But so with what was happening after she did die, that proves that I'm right.
Well,
that she needs to be around for the other two as well, and
she's gone.
It wasn't just all of your emissary powers. Didn't Dream's End start to?
Yeah.
And I mean, the reason we had to
tell her not to show off and be flashy and build Camelot and shit.
Unless.
No, unless.
Nope.
No. I don't care how much diamond dust. I don't care how many things you could find in Camelot. No.
Not even my reason. Get me out. We let him make Camelot. We let all of the harvesters into Camelot, and we blow them the fuck up with a bunch of bombs.
She's gonna weaken herself.
Fairy magic.
And the butcher goes right through it with some sort of mystic eye bullshit, right?
Yes, but we don't have those mystic eyes.
Do we even know if they're mystic eyes?
Well, that's just my hypothesis. If we
don't have a solid answer on it.
If we let her build it and we lure them in there and let them get inside and then blow them up with some bombs we have planted, that'll solve the part of the harvester problem.
She's too drained. If she's too drained, she is a target. That was the whole reason that went down.
She's not going to recover her mana if she builds.
Unless she builds it and then just goes back to the base and hangs out there.
Look,
and we don't move Camelot. We don't let anyone in Camelot.
I do not want her to
rebuild
Camelot. No.
Okay.
No.
That's
absolutely not.
Look, I would rather you
tell her absolutely the fuck not. I will knock you back out myself.
Okay. So we wake her up, but we do not let her build. So now we are at the base, which we know the butcher knows where that is. He doesn't know that we're there, but he knows where it is. And the Forest of Einosh is going to grow rapidly and overtake it in a matter of days, and he is specifically probably after me and Aiden.
I also think that part of that is because in that version,
Morgan was down.
Well, Morgan was down, Anon was dead.
Right.
So a lot of the power balance were just gone.
So
I agree.
We can't let her build Camelot, and we can't let Einon die, obviously.
Yeah.
Still don't know what the fuck to do about that servant or that other Saber servant.
Where is Anon? Where is he?
They're both just standing there watching all this play out. Like
Are they visible?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anon should be visible, yeah.
They're both visible.
Yeah, Cersei's there.
She's gonna so Penelope's gonna go up to Anon and be like, okay, so you don't have to. I would like it if you told me who you were, but you don't have to, because now that I realize how stupid I was for basically telling Annis that she had to tell me who Belle was, I'm not going to ask you to do that. And she turns and looks at Annis and she's just like, I am sorry about that. I shouldn't have asked.
Water under the bridge.
Water. She turns around and she's like, can you at least give me some kind of idea of who you are or like what you are capable of?
He's gonna look to Aiden for direction on that one.
And she's just like, in her head, she's like, you can tell me telepathically if that would make you feel better.
She's saying that to Anon.
Yeah.
He telepathically says back to her that like he's going to defer to his master on that.
Yeah.
It's Aiden will be like, look, from the memory, and he'll give the snippets, like, Enon is able to figure it out, but he dies. He dies before he gets into the words, so I need him to just think for a while, and then I know he'll get it.
That's not what I'm asking, though.
So Einon knows.
I'm asking
who the
about
seventh
Einon
is.
specifically.
But no, what you're saying is Einon knows who the seventh is.
Yes.
So it's a seventh from his time period and
Right.
locale.
Right.
Yes, that is what I am hinting at, and I can give no more.
You at least share that? That
That's
might
what
help.
that's what he's hinting at, and that's what he's giving, is that they know each other.
And I'm assuming Annis has shared what she knows about.
Oh yeah, like
So,
all
okay.
all future Annis knew about the servant was fast, fire hair,
Greek
bitch,
pantheon.
Greek. Yeah.
But
So
that
she's
is like,
gonna
yeah.
look at Anon and be like, all right, so okay, that's at least a hint about who you are.
She screams.
But what can you do? That's what I want to know.
That if I can't put that on the table, Penelope. I'm sorry, I can't. Not
Okay.
yet.
Okay,
Not
No
until
matter
we
how
put
it
you.
happens, figuring out who that servant is we have to figure out either who she is or how we can stop her, because she is absolutely the biggest threat.
Yeah.
Because she obviously can attack any of us. And if she gets Einon, then the butcher and the harvesters can attack us.
That's
And we all
my
saw how
biggest
that went.
Yeah, my biggest concern right now, she's an unknown variable that has
You're cutting out again.
Oh shit, 1 second.
An extremely fast, extremely powerful berserker that can rip people in half.
Okay, sorry. Discord did the thing where I've been around too long. Aiden kind of looks to Penelope and he's just like, there are so many unknown variables about how he's done things that I can drop you hints when I am kicking his ass.
And that's
but
the
until
other
that
thing.
Magic
That's the other thing. Magic doesn't work on that fucker. He's got like an anti-magic field, right? The butcher?
That's what it seems like.
Because I know magic didn't
no.
do shit.
Hold on, what?
It didn't for you all. I noticed in the tellings of what future me had said, your magics didn't work. My magic did. And I don't know if that's my divinity with Eldath, and because none of you have that divine connection, or if there's something entirely else going on, but none of your magic worked. I was able to hit him with a guiding bolt by the end when I finally could apparently use offensive magic, but my magic never stopped working.
So
yours did.
You need to fight the butcher.
Yes.
You and anyone that can do just physical damage or slow him down through non-magical means. And the casters need to be the ones that are fighting the berserker servant. I think we need to definitely trap her, slow her down, stun her.
So
Did the magic work against her either? Like, did any magic work against her? Was it the same situation?
I mean, according to my future self, neither I nor Belle nor Morgan even tried fighting her. We were all concerned with the butcher.
Okay. Then leave him to me and see if you can hit her. And if not, then I guess
So
I would have my hands full for a bit.
So here's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Because we're all obviously processing a lot of information.
We are.
But if we keep sitting here talking strategy, we're going to be here all night. And then the Grail Wars start. Let's go wake up Morgan.
And just make sure she doesn't make a castle, right?
Well,
Is there a way to, because the whole reason why she convinces Albion to fly away is to draw the butcher and his stupid bitch servant away from the moth people. Is there a way for us to help them?
The moth people?
Aren't they? They're literally killing them right now as we speak.
I don't know.
But I agree. We do need to act.
Like,
we need to do something. We can't just stay here.
We can't. We have to tell her not to let Albion fly away.
Right.
Because he needs to be where he is for Vivian and Nimue to do what they need to do.
And we just leave.
Do
we
we
know where
know
this is?
Do we know where some? I feel really silly asking this right now, but do we know where some water is?
I think right outside. Because remember, there's those giant rivers.
But are they the Mana rivers or are they like what?
Oh, they're the Mana rivers.
I remember.
They were the Mana rivers.
Didn't all water work as water for you, though? Like, pertaining to your
Oh,
spells?
you were able to water walk through the Mana.
Yeah.
Outside the castle.
Yeah, true.
I mean, if it's concerning where Albion can go to escape to the
no,
other side.
no, I don't care about that. I mean, I care about that, but I don't care about that. What I'm thinking is getting us out.
Right.
The only thing that I would be concerned about is like, because he refused it and just shook the stuff onto the ground anyways. Like, that wasn't the big issue. He just said, nah, I want to remember this shit, did it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to leave that much diamond to the butcher. So if he wants to just be like, nah, I'll just shake it off, that's fine. I don't care for another area. It draws the butcher away. Oh man, there's a dragon in the sky. We just can't have her rebuild the fucking place because that's a beacon on where we are.
Out of character.
Yeah, this is out of character. Sorry, yeah, this is out of character.
No, out of character. The diamonds didn't appear until Morgan restored Camelot.
But
you don't know if they were there before or not. They were just easier to find when the shop was repaired.
So if there's just ruins everywhere that he can go digging into because no one's there, that's a lot of shit for him to go into, and Iden's not comfortable with that.
I will tell you, in the meta, Morgan does not have the ability to give you back diamonds once they are spent.
Oh.
So otherwise that would just break the entire everything. So you should assume that whatever she's putting back together still has to have the pieces to put back together.
Yeah, like out of character, it's like me personally, I'm fine with the castle being like him, or in character actor. It's just like the castle moving isn't the issue because Albion doesn't take the deal. He just says nah, drops it off there. It's just Vivian trying to put it back together is the huge issue.
What? Yeah, so we could still have him drop it off.
Because he flies out.
Still have him drop it off in that field.
Well, that's where he did drop it off. Yeah, it's
just he's dropping off the ruins.
In the dinosaur area. Yeah, that's fine. That's Gucci with me.
Yeah. That would get us back closer to the base.
It would.
So if he wants to fly us back closer to the base, sure. Great.
Yeah. But anything more than after that, it's like no.
No. But I'm also like wondering, like, I don't know.
Future Iden tell present Iden where the Harvester's base is, or did they know?
It's the same. It's the same base that we have the map of.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the same base.
You know where the base is.
Yeah, we do know where the base is.
So we wake up Morgan, we tell her under no circumstances are you allowed to remake Camelot. We hitch the ride on Albion, he drops off the ruins, we go treasure hunting. She could probably still restore Nina. Seems like that's fine.
No,
We're not letting
absolutely
her-
not.
No.
Absolutely not. Aiden would not allow it. Absolutely the fuck not.
But didn't Nina want it?
It doesn't. No. Look, this is a
That's
situation that
something
Nina's
we can
watched.
decide later. That is
Okay,
something we
okay.
can decide later.
Yeah. But yeah, like Aiden will bring
Well,
up like moving the castle. He's like,
That
if that
is
happens, that happens.
something we
But
can decide later.
yeah. So
Let's.
go wake her up.
So yeah, we can. Sorry, back into character. We can talk theory later. We can talk plans later. But we are on a timeline. This Grail
Yep.
War starts soon. We don't even know what time it is. But we have to get up there now. We have to get this done.
Okay.
And then we can figure out the rest of this shit later.
Okay.
And Diana's just nodding. She just like
Well, lead the way then.
Yep. And going upstairs.
Woo. Also, I'm gonna send that sending to Alder real quick.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
I
please.
got my words. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just gonna say that like when you get upstairs, as you've already been described a few times, the next floor is it's nice. It's got like a big soft bed, 4 posts. Very pretty. Blue sheets. There is, I guess, in some ways, like your most clear view of what Nimue and Vivian would look like if they weren't always being seen through water or other things. There's a woman laying down in the bed, and she is asleep. And the bed has a bubble, for lack of a better description, around it of water that seems to be perpetually flowing in a sphere. Slowly, like the inside of like a snow globe or something, but it seems like it would be very hard to the touch for anyone who can't walk through water.
Yeah, the Diana and Penelope are gonna approach the bubble.
Okay. The water is there for you to manipulate. You've kind of already gotten the instructions for what to do next. So you have water to work with, assuming the two of you still both go through with it. You can summon your respective ladies who will complete the ritual.
Yep.
And the two ladies appear. Nimue looks fondly at Diana.
Diana is she just reaches over and yes, it's water, but she's like just gripping Nimue's hand as tightly as she can.
Yeah.
She's
You
like,
get a reasonable amount of resistance when you do that. So you actually feel something. And before she proceeds, Vivian turns to Penelope and says, seeing what you've seen, you're still comfortable moving forward.
110%.
Very good then. And Nimue and Vivian then channel the water around the sphere into a pair of orbs, and those orbs float in front of their watery hands, and then they float over the sleeping Morgan's body, and then they fall, splashing her in the face. And Morgan sits upright, pissed as hell looking. Says, who the fucking... Oh. And that's where we stop.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
No.
I sent you that sending on the side.
Yeah,
real
yeah,
quick,
yeah.
so-
I will give you the response to that before next week. I promise. But
Cool.
yeah, there you go. You got a whole bunch of stuff.
Woo, we did
I
it.
had one tiny thing.
What's up?
when Morgan wakes up, Penelope just wants to be like, "Good morning, sleepyhead."
Go for it. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's it. That's all. Yeah.
In the
Yay.
background, using produced flame to heat some water for some tea because she remembered thinking it would be nice to give Morgan some coffee or tea to wake her up.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you go. You've now seen a future where people who
Ew.
don't behave like you do mess up.
I'm like, yo, Zelrech, my homie. Is this some bullshit? 'Cause this smells like some bullshit in here.
Like to point out that the future
Yeah.
is not his specialty.
Nope. But he said he's seen a kaleidoscope, and I was like, yo, dog, have you seen this one? Does this smell like some BS?
Really is the most notes I've ever taken.
Ugh.
Yeah, well, you got the one thing that I was gonna wait for Yunnan to figure out first, so you have that now.
Well, I mean,
Ugh.
we as players do, but not as characters.
Yeah.
No, you do. I said it to
Oh.
Penelope. This is the one hint I give you is that he knows them. I said that in character because she was really aggressively coming with the oogly eyes, and I was like, God
It
damn it.
wasn't aggressive.
I said oogly eyes. You know that look she gives. You can't say no to that. And I'm like,
Luvia, she's just like, please tell me.
you did it with that one please, the please that pulls at my heartstrings. I'm like, damn it, she's too cute.
Okay, so real talk. Who thought that Diana's story was going to be happy?
No.
Okay,
No.
here you
I
go.
don't know how it went
Here's the
bad.
thing. Here's the thing. I knew it wasn't going to be happy because this is fate.
Yep.
Yeah. I was like,
And
it's
I'm
not
like,
gonna be happy,
there's
but
no way.
damn.
There's no way we're going into this with everybody else being like, I've been through some shit. And then there's no way that her story was actually happy.
Yeah.
I was considered Einosh, obviously. I had not considered that Clover got fucking out of the statue. How did he do it?
So here's my
Like-
thing though. I legitimately think it's Einosh 100% of the point. Like, the boy's been too fucking fucked up. And the whole Diana being like, you're not me, and immediately recognizing that's not how she would act and react. I was like,
Diana.
That's
That
what
is
I'm
not
saying, Diana.
Penelope. I'm
Would
No, I'm
putting
saying
that
Diana.
in there.
That's what I'm saying, Diana.
It looks like Clover just to fuck with us. I don't know.
But my point being is like Diana instantly recognized like that's not how she would act. It's like boom, bam.
Okay.
But okay,
Can
so
we drop this? Can we drop this and end the episode, please?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's end the episode. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for anyone who's listening to this. Recording will be up soon because I imagine we'll all want to reference it again.
Yeah.
Good night, the internet.
Good
Good night,
night.
Internet.